Naftali Bennett, thanks very much for being with us.
Great being here.
Just over a week until the election. Let's start with the divisive issue of the day. There seems to be a different one every day, and that is a bill that you support, pushed by the Prime Minister and his Likud party to get cameras into polling stations, but specifically to allow political parties to put their own representatives to film there. The Attorney General is against it. The Central Elections Committee, the Parliament's legal advisor have all come out opposing it. Today, that stalled, didn't get enough support to actually go to a vote. Are you ready now to let that issue go?
Well, it's been fixed because, as you know, in the previous elections, there was a considerable amount of problems, including illegal actions where folks would come and vote, and then they were told, but you already voted. So someone had come instead of them, etc. And we have to fix this. We need clean and good elections. So I think what the compromise is that the Central Committee will disperse a lot of supervisors all around, especially.
That's something they promised to do, though.
Right, and I think that's fine. The cameras would have been fine also, because it's sort of like crowdsourcing. I mean, people who aren't up to monkey business shouldn't have a problem with being on camera, because all day we're on camera. Anyway, voting is a public issue, right? Because when you go later on, anyone can know that you had voted.
So why did you just not support the proposal put forward by Avigdor Lieberman to allow the Central Election Committee to put a camera in each polling place?
I told our folks we support any initiative that will ensure clean and fair elections.
All right, let's move on to the big question, which is what is actually going to happen next week, and more so what's going to happen after that when somebody gets the task of forming a government. Last time around, after the April vote, you, along with other lawmakers, decided it was better to go to a second election, a very costly second election, rather than let somebody else try and form a government after Netanyahu failed. So if Netanyahu fails this time, which is completely possible, as we've seen, what then? What do you do then?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty optimistic this time, because last time around, everyone was surprised by Lieberman, because he was supposedly right-wing, yet he did not recommend the right-wing opponent, which is Netanyahu. This time, everyone knows that Lieberman is not right-wing anymore. You can't count him on the right.
Are right-wing and Netanyahu the same thing? Can you not be right-wing and not support Netanyahu?
No, I mean, ultimately, we've got two big parties, the Likud and the blue and white with Benny Gantz. Likud is the central right-wing party, and Benny Gantz and Lapid are the central left-wing party. So if you're not supportive of the candidate of the right wing, yes, it means that effectively you are left, yes.
But the polls show Lieberman gaining support. Are there circumstances where you or your party would support a third election rather than simply try to work with the results of this one?
What's going to happen? We, under no circumstances, would support a left-wing government. I'll start with that. So I'm not going to recommend under any circumstances Benny Gantz and Lapid, simply because I'm a right-wing guy.
Even if it's in partnership with the Likud?
Even in partnership with the Likud, I won't support a situation where Benny Gantz and Lapid become prime ministers, or with their rotation or whatever they're up to. We will recommend Bibi. Yet, I think the big question is not whether he'll be able to form a government. He will this time, because there's no big surprises. The issue will be what sort of government. Will it be a Netanyahu, Lapid, Gantz government, or a Netanyahu, Bennett, Shaked government? And that's really the big question.
Would you support a Likud-led government with a member of the Likud as prime minister, but not Benjamin Netanyahu?
You know, I don't think we're going to get to that. I think
what if we do?
Pretty.
Because again,
when we get to
that, it won't happen after April. We know that we can't say that.
Well, in Israel, anything can happen. You're right. We will support a right-wing government only, and we're going to recommend Netanyahu.
And the questions have been asked about the unity of your party, whether you would be willing to go in a coalition without the Jewish home element of your Yamina party. Would you be willing to join a coalition that did not include them?
No.
So I have a question then about the broader issues. I mean, let's talk a little bit about what you stand for as a party, because last time around during the April election, you and both your political partner, Yamina, were here in our studios talking about the new right party and the importance of being a right wing that serves both the religious and the secular, with a big emphasis on the secular. Yet the number 3 in your political alliance, Bezalel Smotrich, is someone who's advocated for Torah law across Israel, that is what should rule the country. He's advocated for separation between genders at public events, of women not serving in various units in the army. So how can you be a party that is supporting secular Jews in Israel and also sit with somebody like that?
Our approach is we're very strong on Jewish identity, and we're against coercion. I don't believe in any coercive laws. It's stupid, it's wrong, it's immoral. You don't force people into those sort of stuff. Now, I have to remind you that a few months ago we failed. We didn't enter. So one of the part of learning lessons, one was to allow Ayelet to lead the party, and I think she's a wonderful leader that'll do an amazing job. And you know what? We need a woman leader. She's the first leader of a woman leader of a right-wing party.
But you're still sitting Israel. With somebody who advocates for coercion.
You're right, and it is. We do have a spectrum of opinions on religion and state. You're right on that. We agree. We all agree not to give up 1 centimeter of land. We all agree on being tough on Hamas. We all agree that we need a much more conservative judicial system, but we disagree on issues such as dati, religious girls going to the army. I'm very supportive of it.
Isn't that fundamental, though? If you're a party that is about secular, about being also open to secular Jews and right-wing religious Jews.
About being Jewish, not and having a strong Jewish identity. You do have folks who are, on the more extreme side, and I'm more on the moderate side. The Likud, there's folks who support a Palestinian state, for heaven's sake, and others who are against. So we can be a supermarket, the right-wing supermarket, where there are different opinions in terms of religion. You're right on that.
Yeah, I have to ask you about a quote that Channel 13 said that Miriam Adelson, the wife of Sheldon Adelson, the American Jewish billionaire, she said in her police testimony, and I am quoting, "I mean, the fate of the Jewish people is doomed because the lady, Sarah Netanyahu, hates Bennett and Shaked, so he, Benjamin Netanyahu, does not make a coalition with the right man who fits." You said in the past you're not going to discuss gossip. This is not gossip. Mrs. Adelson has not denied making that quote. Doesn't that require some comment from you?
I'll tell you this much. Miriam and Sheldon Adelson will be remembered as among one of the best and most important Jews of the generation in terms of their contribution to the very existence of the state of Israel. And I didn't get anything from them. It's okay. I'll just tell you that what they've donated for higher education, for University of Ariel, and other things that many years from now might be made public, we should all be thankful to that amazing Zionist couple.
Okay. So
now, having said that, I never ever deal with inner gossip.
That's not gossip. She's not denied that. She has not denied that. Right. If the Prime Minister's wife is not only hurting you personally, politically, but maybe, according to her words, your own political camp, isn't that a cause for concern?
I've never, talked about these issues. I don't intend to. I worked for Mr. Netanyahu when he was opposition leader as his chief of staff, and I feel I have to still adhere to that confidence.
All right, let's just get back to one issue that kind of deals with the religious and the secular, and it's an issue I know that you've tweeted about and written a lot about. Israel's Channel 13 airing a report that quoted a rabbi making purportedly extremist statements. We now know that that was taken out of context. Your political partner, Ayelet Shaked, the number 1 in your party, was here yesterday and told our French channel that what the Israeli media did there was akin to the propaganda against the Jews in Europe back then, meaning in World War II. Do you agree with that analogy?
What was done yesterday and then throughout the past 6 years is a blood libel. It's as if a rabbi says, "Thou do not murder," and you just erase the "do not," and you say the
propaganda against the Jews in Europe.
I'm telling you that what they've been doing is so horrible. It's repulsive because they took an amazing person who's all about uniting the Jewish people, that rabbi, and they turned him into someone who's against secular, who's against serving in the army. The guy was a fighter in Golani.
But to that degree, again, do you agree with that analogy?
I call it, the term I use is a blood libel within Israel, because it's not only about that. There's a concerted effort to tarnish the perception of the national religious folks in Israel, people who have a knitted yarmulke, folks who go out and fight in all the wars, folks who go out and work and pay taxes, and yes, they believe in God, and I think that's an amazing combination, and we shouldn't be tarnishing them. We should celebrate that.
Maybe a message to both sides about tarnishing each other, religious and secular, right and left.
Let me tell you, I'll tell you this much, the right does not have a monopoly over patriotism, and the left does not have a monopoly over human rights. These people are good, these are good. A week from now, we have to be one Am Yisrael again.
All right, Naftali Bennett, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.